It was the last day of the Russian Championship 2020, and Timur Rajabov wrote to me and said, Sagar, would you like to come and join me in the live commentary of this final day? It's a very close battle between Nepomniachtchi and Karjakin at the top. And so I decided to join him in the commentary, and little did I know that we were actually witnessing a game that would become one of the best games of the year. It was between Daniil Dubov and Sergei Karjakin. And what I want to do with this video is put up 10 points for you to guess Dubov's moves. Dubov has been known as a creative genius. He's beaten so many players with amazing play. And that is what we are going to witness today in this game. Your task is to guess those moves of Dubov on those 10 moments and then finally total up your score. So, shall we begin? Dubov was white, opened the game with e4. Karjakin went e5, knight to f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, normal Italian stuff, c3, knight f6. And when Dubov touched his d pawn, well, everyone thought that he would go d3. By the way, this is not an online game. It was in person. It was played in the Russian museum, Russian chess museum. It's amazing that over the board chess is back with this tournament. So he played, instead of d3, he played d4, which is fine because everyone thought now e5, which is slowly getting popular after d5, bishop b5. You would have seen this opening being played by Anish Giri against Magnus Carlsen, and many other games Levon Aronian has played. But Dubov all of a sudden plays this move b4, which is so surprising. In fact, out of like 10,000, 20,000 games which have reached, only 57 games have been played with b4, which shows that this move, and no good player has played it after bishop b6. It's just like you have weakened your position and you're going to lose a pawn. That's the thing. So Dubov continued with e5, and here Sergey had two good moves. In fact, d5 and knight e4. He chose the latter. But d5 I felt is very natural because in such systems, when the bishop is on c4, e5 is met with d5. That's the general thing. So after ef6, dc4, the engines do give black a very good position and an advantage. I don't know what Dubov would have done here. Maybe he was saying in his post-game analysis something like queen e2 check, which was in Russian, so I couldn't understand much of it, but I was seeing through the lines. But I think it was a bluff that he played in this game. And knight e4 is also good for black. And now Dubov went bishop to d5, forcing the knight to take a decision. So black said, okay, pawn is hanging, let me take it. Knight takes c3, pawn takes c3. And now if you don't do much, then black will just play d6, would castle. He would be 2 pawns up, as you can count here. White has 6 pawns, black has 8, he's 2 pawns up. So very quickly, white decided to create something with bishop to g5. Now f6 doesn't work, it's too weakening, it weakens this diagonal, you can no longer castle. I'll just move my bishop back. Later I can go queen b3, castles. It's a winning position for white. So therefore, Karjakin played the right move, which was knight to e7. And here white castled, h6, bishop h4, and here I believe that Sergey missed his chance to get a clean advantage, because if you see, this bishop is hanging here. It's not like hanging, but if you get that bishop, it's an important piece. So imagine if you go g5, and if white were to play bishop g3, then you could intermezzo play c2, but you could even just take knight takes d5, queen takes d5, and then break with d6. And in this position, what is going to happen is that after e takes d6, you go short castles, and later on you will recover this pawn. You will play bishop e6. Yes, the king does look slightly weak, but it's completely fine. Black is doing very, very well in this position, and Sergey Dubov would have to struggle for the half point here. So this was the moment where he could have fought for an advantage. Also, he could have been afraid of knight takes g5 sacrifice, but here comes knight takes d5, intermediate move. Now you don't really take here because after hg5 it's just winning for black. But if you were to play knight f3 back, I can just simply go back knight e7. And yes, the position is slightly complex with all the pieces jammed in for black. But I think d6 may come in soon with bishop e6, and with one piece extra, it might be a bit too much to hope for here for white. Anyway, Karjakin said, let me castle first. And you see, these are practically difficult decisions to make during the game. And that's why even a strong player like Karjakin went wrong. Now, this is your move here. First point, what did Dubov play here as white? Try to think, what would you do here? Also be prophylactic. So if you see, black really wants to get d6 at the right moment so that his bishop can be activated and his position overall frees up. So what Dubov played here is really cool. He went rook e1. This introduces another piece into the game, and more importantly stops d6, because after ed6 the bishop and the rook look at the e7 piece. So 1 point for rook e1. Well done guys if you found this move. Now Karjakin says this is irritating, this pin. So I'm going to play queen to e8. Now he came out of one pin, but on the other hand he got himself into another pin here down the e file, which is right now not a pin, but could become a pin as we will see in the game. So here, Dubov played the move bishop to b3. Now you could also argue that he could have gone bishop e4. The bishop is also good on this diagonal. But okay, bishop b3 is fine. And at this moment, black played the move a5. I was looking at other options here for black, and in fact in the analysis Dubov did mention knight f5 as the most natural one because you are attacking the bishop. But I think that after queen d3, the point is that you want to come bishop c2 and create pressure here. Also you are okay to give up your bishop on h4 with knight h4 because the b1 h7 diagonal is very weak. So g4 comes into the picture all the time. Here, let's say knight h4, d6 is met with a powerful move, knight g6. And you can make use of this bishop and win this rook. So that does not work. d6 could be a good move. And after ed6, queen d7, I believe that this is again a position which is fine for black. And again, Karjakin should have opted for this, going knight f5 and activating his pieces. What he did was he played a5, which was not the best idea. And here is your second point now. What would you play here as white? Dubov's move, what would you play? This is actually a very, very deep move and very interesting move actually. Yeah. So if you found this move, give yourself a pat on the back. It is bishop f6. What a move this was. Now, it's simple to see that after takes, you cannot really play this because this is just winning for white completely. This is e7 knight is jammed in. But what is the point? Like, why do you have to do this? For example, after a takes b3, the main reason for putting your bishop on f6 is that you are freeing the very important square h4 for your knight. And the knight stops f5 and g6 both. It controls both these squares of the black knight. So let's say I come to a3, trying to sacrifice my rook for the bishop, which is an important piece. Then white goes queen g4 here, threatening a checkmate on g7. And already this is just lost position. So you see, it can actually end very quickly, and bishop f6 is a powerful move, preparing knight to h4. So here Sergey thought for a bit and he said, oh my god, this is getting very serious with knight h4 coming up. Maybe I should move my knight to f5 already. But when you play your knight to f5, it starts getting very dangerous with the move g4. Now, this is again what Dubov had planned. Now that the bishop is no longer here, black cannot take it. And this position is very difficult actually for black. After g4, what to do with the knight? You have to maybe take on f6, and then there are several ways to play. Maybe g takes f5 here, and the king is very, very exposed. And well, if you give sufficient time to your engine, it may even find a win for white here clearly. And I think it's winning for white. Like, he goes king h2, then maybe he just moves his knight away, queen moves in, rook could be sacrificed here, and there is a big attack coming up. So this does not work. a4 was played in the game, which was okay. Bishop c4 was Dubov's choice. He still wants to keep the bishop on this diagonal. He doesn't want to bring it to c2, because let's imagine you go to c2 now. Then already after knight g6, you cannot threaten anything, because even the bishop is here, you are already threatening to take the knight. But with both the pieces on this diagonal, this knight does a fantastic job. So therefore he keeps it on c4. And now knight went to g6. And this is your moment for the third point in the game. What would you play here as white? White to play. Time to get your third point. Now, Dubov played the move. Very interesting move here. There are many moves that can give you points. Queen d3. Perhaps not the most accurate move. We will get to it why. But a good move nonetheless. Knight h4 was another powerful move. The point being that after knight takes h4, you have queen g4, threatening a mate. And if you play knight here, then queen g6 leads to a brilliant mate. The bishop cannot be taken because of this pin. The queen cannot be taken because of this pin. And this is a very nice tactical motive to remember. Okay, got it. So knight h4, you cannot take it. Or you can take queen g4 can be met with knight f5. But here again, notice this. Queen f5 is met with the move d5. This was Karjakin's plan in actually provoking the move a4. Bishop c4 and knight g6. They look so deep because the bishop is on c4. Imagine you get this very position with knight g6. Now I go knight h4. Knight takes h4, queen here. Knight f5. Now queen takes f5. The bishop won't be attacked, although even here d5 is a very powerful move and black is better. But Karjakin had thought all of this through, and he had prepared this idea of a4, and he thought the bishop would be slightly more exposed on c4 because d5 comes with a tempo. So he went knight g6, and so full point if you found knight h4 here, which is a good move. Full point if you find queen c2, which is the best move here, because as compared to the game, we will come to it, it is superior. He played queen d3, and now Sergey thought for a while and came up with the idea of d5, which was his plan, I believe, from the very beginning. After e takes d6 came the move bishop e6. This is what he wanted to do. If you move your queen away, you lose the knight. So e takes d6, bishop e6 was played. Now, thinking a bit here, you will realize that if the queen was on c2 and we play the same variation, d5 takes bishop e6. Now you can continue like in the game normally, which happened, which is a question to you. But also white has a very good move here, bishop takes c3. And notice how bishop takes c4 now does not attack the queen on d3. And that is the reason why this is a better position for white here after queen bishop takes. So therefore queen c2 was better, but queen d3 was played, d5, ed6 and bishop e6. And now time for your fourth point. What do you play here as white? White to play fourth point. Here comes a very, very beautiful move, maybe the most spectacular move of the game that Dubov plays, which is to take on g6 with the queen. If you found this, excellent job, guys. It's a mate in one. You have to take the queen. There is no other option. So you take it. And now here comes the fifth move, fifth point. What do you play here? Now the initial feeling is to always take it with a check. But after king h7, you will realize that it's not so easy to continue the position. Like you go d7, I go queen b8, you make a queen, I take it with the rook, you take it with the bishop, queen d8, and I think black is doing very, very well in this position. However, what Karjakin missed, or maybe he had seen Dubov found it here, very nice move. Rook takes e6, and the point is that now you are threatening to take here with a check, and black has to find sort of the only defensive idea, and queen c6 was a good move. I think Dubov would have to then toil harder, and Karjakin could have got a draw, because after rook e7 check, king h, if you move, let's say king h8 or something, then already bishop g7, king h7, bishop takes f8, very powerful move. King h8 here, and then bishop f8, king h8, bishop g7, king h7, and bishop takes c3. This is a beautiful checkmate. Okay, so this does not work. And if you went here king h7 in this position, then rook g7, king h8, just many ways to win, but rook g8 seems like the most clear one. King h7, and now check here. Rook g8 would repeat, but rook f7 should win now. King g8, and there are many moves, but knight e5 is the most brilliant. Threatening rook g7 and knight g6 mate, and the variation still continues. Bishop f2 check, king h1, rook takes f7, bishop takes f7, king f8, and knight takes c6, and white is winning this position. Crazy line, but this was winning. So actually Dubov, Karjakin would have to take this bishop with a check, and then after rook g7, king h8, rook takes c7, rook f6, rook takes c4, rook d6, and rook takes c3. Well, we reach some kind of a rook endgame here after bd4, knight d4, rook d4, a3, where white is a pawn up, but could be excellent drawing chances for black. So this was the best for Karjakin here, but he went for the move queen f7, and now comes the key moment, guys. This is for your 6th point, white to play. What would you play? Very difficult move. I think this is the move that many people would fall for. So it's easy to think about rook e7 here. But then after say something like gf6, rook f7 takes, it seems like black is almost winning here. It's clearly better position. So rook e7 does not work. It's a bad move. So therefore, Dubov here immediately, almost instantly, took on c3 with the bishop. And a full point for actually noticing that here white is winning. And the combination is not over, because Karjakin said, I don't understand what's happening. I'm playing king h8. Now I have a queen for just 2 pieces. You have just 2 pieces here. So white to play, and here is your 7th point in this game. What do you play here? There's only one winning move, and that is rook to e4, defending this bishop. This is so cool, because you are naturally the tendency is to go forward to attack something, but here after queen takes c4, there's nothing happening. This position, white is doomed. He's lost. Rook e4 is definitely something which Karjakin did not pay attention to or missed it, because now after queen f5, notice that bishop takes f2 is a possibility here, but white will just move away. The reason being, if you take king takes f2, which is a possible move, then after queen f5, rook e7, like in the game, does not work because of queen c2 check picking up the bishop. So here it's much better to just go to h1 and then continue with the same plan. He went queen f5, and now for your 8th point, what should white play? Yes, the right move is rook e7 now, attacking g7 and threatening a mate very quickly. So here rook g8 seems like forced. What else to do? If you're going to take this pawn, I'm going inside, I'm not touching that bishop. And after rook g8, he just took, rook takes, and now for the 9th point here, white to play. What would you play here? It seems like white's attack has been stopped. If you look, one rook for a rook, one bishop for a bishop. So there is rook, knight, and an extra pawn here, or the pawns are equal, but looks like enough material. But white finds a very, very precise way to win. In fact, it's the only way here, which is d takes c7. Excellent move, because after d takes c7, this pawn is not possible to take. And Dubov shows the brilliant point that after bishop e5, he has complete domination in the position. You see, this bishop has to watch out for the pawn. This rook is tied down to g7 pawn. And after bishop f2 or even queen f2, you just go to h1, bishop b6. And now look at this. h3, very simple. King h7, brings the rook. a3, king h2. White knows that if black takes here, then already there are many, many ways to win. Maybe just queen and take on g7 should do the trick. So he's sort of tied up. He plays g5. By the way, there's an interesting moment here. If you go g5 directly, there's this move rook e6, attacking the bishop. So bishop says, but isn't this a free pawn? Rook takes h6, checkmate. Sort of checkmate. You have to lose your queen here. Take, and bishop c7. So that is what would have given white the win. So he played king h7 and then g5. But after knight d4, queen c4, knight to f5, queen b4, rook c1, Dubov knew that he was winning. And now the final point in the game, the 10th point, guys. Time to bring in the full point home. Rook takes g7. Well done. If you found this move, because now after rook takes g7, I can just make a queen and win the game. In the game, he took on f5, but after rook g8, takes, queen b2. You have two rooks and a bishop. Check. And very precise last move, rook d8, threatening rook e5. And it was all over. Karjakin resigned the game. I hope you liked it. It was a brilliant, brilliant game. First, a risky opening, new idea. Objectively worse, but putting pressure. And then finally these moves, bishop f6, that was played by Dubov. Very, very interesting chess. You know, bishop f6, sacking a piece here, then sacrificing a queen here. Queen takes g6, then taking with the rook. Then this idea of bringing the bishop back, then bringing the rook back, then bringing the rook forward. All of this was too much to handle. And I would say definitely a great, great game by Dubov. And I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts on this game and also how many points you have scored. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.